What's up, guys? Today, we are going to do our Friday jam session, but I have to be completely upfront with you and honest. I am not here right now live. If you're watching this at 10 a.m. Eastern on Friday, October 29th, well, I'm not actually, in fact, here live. I'm actually in upstate New York right now visiting family and friends, but I wanted to stick to the schedule and I wanted this to go out at our normal scheduled time of 10 a.m. Eastern time. So again, I just wanted to let you know that I will not be here to answer any questions live on this, on this coffee talk. But I wanted to do this because, well, like I said, I wanted to stick to my schedule and I know that you guys look forward to it. So here I am. All right. Now, today I do have a really good topic that I want to discuss. And it really comes down to passive income, business models, headaches, and is there really a business out there that is free from headaches and is easiest or the easiest one that you can do out there for you? And so that's what we're really going to be talking about here today because, well, I've actually been experiencing some of this myself lately. And when you kind of stand back and you look at the big picture and you're like, that looks like that would be amazing. But unless everything is totally perfect, it's probably not going to be as good as you might think. Or there might be some headaches there that you just didn't, you weren't aware of. And I'm going to share with you guys a story about something that I'm currently looking into, which I talked about it here on the Coffee Talk. And when you stand back and look at it, you're like, man, I don't know if I really want to go down that rabbit hole. I don't know if I want to go and enter into that space at this time. I might need to back off of that. So that's what we're going to be talking about here on this Friday jam session. So what I'm going to do, because this is going to turn into an official podcast episode on the Friday jam session, which will air later, I'm going to go ahead and start this off like I normally do. And I'm going to take a little pause and then I'm going to count it down and we're going to kick this thing off. What do you say? Are you ready? Well, I'm asking you like you can act. Well, you can say if you're ready or not in the comments and we can act as though I'm here live. But right now I'm actually in upstate New York, probably having a cup of coffee and maybe even one of my favorites, the apple fritters. So hopefully that's what I'm doing. I hope I am going to be doing that. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I do it. All right, here we go. Ready? Hey guys, welcome back to another Friday jam session. Today, I am going to be talking about something that I think we all wrestle with, or at least we experience. And that is, well, really, is the grass really greener on the other side of the fence? You've probably heard that. We've all heard that, right? We sit here and we go, man, if I could just have what they have, or if I could just find the business that is this, everything will be amazing. Well, I'm here to tell you something. Every single business that I've been involved in, any new ones that I'm considering, there's always headaches. You just need to choose what headache do you want to deal with. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that here today on the jam session, but I'm also going to be talking about passive income because I think a lot of people hear the word passive income. It's exciting. It's sexy. Oh my gosh, I would love it. Go to bed, you wake up and you've got a sale or you've got some sales and it's just great. Or we build up an email list and we do a launch and we have sales that come in and just everything is perfect. Everything is so amazing. If I could just have that. Or maybe this one, I'm going to sell on Amazon and I'm just going to ship product into FBA and they're going to take care of everything. And I'm not going to have any headaches. It's just going to be passive income. Or how about this one? I'm going to go ahead and do rentals. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a long-term rental, meaning I'm going to buy a house and I'm going to fix it up a little bit. I'm going to rent it out to a tenant and they're going to pay me monthly and I'm going to make, maybe $500 a month net and they're never going to bother me. Or I'm going to hire a management company and they're going to do all the work for me and I'll never have to do anything. No, that's not the way it's going to work. But let me give you another example. How about this one? Short-term rental. They're great. Love it. I don't have to do anything. I just buy the property and hand it off to a management company and everything's perfect. Not always. So all of these things, right? Oh, I've got a niche property. I'm going to build that. And everything's going to be perfect. And then just passive income is going to come in and there's never going to be any problems. No, Google does an update. You lose rankings for a week or two or a month, or maybe your RPMs that you're getting paid $25 goes down to $15, or maybe your writer decided to quit. You got that. Like there's all of these things. And I'll give you more examples here. I've got a few more I'm going to share with you. These are the things that, number one, we just need to be aware of. Okay. We need to be aware, okay, that the grass isn't always greener on the other side of the fence. We've all heard that, right? I remember when I was working for my father's construction company, and I was working 60 hours a week, all kinds of hours. Like I was always in there at the same time, but I never got home at the same time. And my thing was, man, if I could just get that job that was 7 to 3, that was like winning the lottery. Right. But now after I was able to leave that construction job and get my own business, my own photography business, it was amazing. It was kind of like the honeymoon phase. It was beautiful. Everything was great. And then all of a sudden I started to feel, well, wait a minute here. Our weekends are kind of tied up now, or our evenings are tied up. But wait a minute, I get to work for myself. And then you get a client that comes in and says, my picture, the coloring on it is off. Or we had this one customer that they said that their shirt was a different blue than what they printed. And it was off a little bit, but I don't know if it would have been enough for me to say, well, that's not the color that of our shirts 100%. Like, you would get into that. And then you got to go back to the lab and you got to have them reprint it. And then you got to, maybe that's not going to work. Or maybe you ordered some Christmas cards and it's down to crunch time and they don't come in time. And then you got customers calling you and then you got to deal with that. Right. Or maybe you have this happened to me. You're doing video transfer work and then your hard drive decides to crash. And basically you can't get into your hard drive with customers that have, you have their files on that hard drive and you can't get access to it. And you've got jobs that are due and you got jobs that are piling up. But man, if I could just have my own business one day, life would be amazing. I'm here to tell you, it is amazing, but there's headaches that come along with it. There has been days that I've wished that I could just go in and punch a clock. Done it. I've used to punch a clock about 20 years ago, but ever since I've been self-employed, haven't had to punch that clock. But in the same breath, there's been struggles. And I'm aware of that now. Okay. I'm aware of that now. And I'm always looking for the headaches. I'm always looking for what are the headaches that I am going to encounter. And then from there, I have to ask myself, are these headaches worth it? And also, are these things that I'm going to be able to possibly get rid of or lessen, right? So the idea of having a business that is passive is a great, great dream. And I'm not saying that you can't have a passive income business. Passive income doesn't mean that you don't do work, right? Like it's not like you put $1 in and $1.25 comes back every day without a headache, right? There's going to be issues. There's going to be things. There's going to be work that has to get done. You have to do the work. So if you are thinking about different business models, and again, if you're listening to this podcast, there's a good chance that, you've either went down the e-commerce road, or maybe you went down the digital product road, or maybe you're now building niche properties like I am with content. You're going to turn on some display ads. So for right now, I look at my businesses as, yes, they're somewhat passive, but in the same breath, I still have to, it's passive money coming in, but it doesn't mean it's passively where I don't have to do any work, right? So if I'm looking at, I'm going to take 3 different scenarios here. So number one, let's just talk about my short-term rental. Okay. I have a short-term rental. It's on a lake and I have a management company that does the work. For the most part, I don't have to deal with that. Now I still have to pay the bills, right? I still have to pay the mortgage. I still got to pay the taxes and the utility bills, and some of that stuff you can automate and all that, right? So that's not really bad, right? But you still have to deal with things if they break. Now they're going to handle it, but you still have to deal with it. Oh my gosh, like we had a leak up on the roof that was coming around the chimney area. And immediately they called me. We got guests coming in. We got to make a decision here. We don't really have time to get multiple estimates. It's going to cost you around $2,200 to get this thing fixed. Are you okay with that? I'm like, yeah, go, do it. But I still didn't like it, right? It still was something that interrupted my day, but it's worth the trade-off. Okay. And that's somewhat passive to me, right? That is passive income. Okay. But there's still work that's got to be done. Not a lot of work, but there's still some work to be done. I'm looking at possibly doing another short-term rental. And actually, I was just in the middle of possibly putting in an offer on a place. But then after I did the numbers, I looked at what I was going to end up with, and then all of the things that I'm going to have to deal with in order to get things rolling. I was like, I don't know if it's worth it. I don't know if it's worth it. So I'm going to back out of that deal because it was at the top of our budget for what we could make with the property, right? So I did the numbers and I ran it, and I'm like, well, I know there's going to be headaches. There's going to be people that come in. There's going to be a management company I have to get on board with. We have to do onboarding. We got to get the house ready. All these things, right? And I know that we're going to be doing this over here with volleyball with my daughter. That's going to take up time. So all of this stuff, is it worth the disruption in my life for what's on the other side? So that's the questions you have to ask yourself. So that's just another example, right? My wife was just talking to me just this morning because Etsy sales are starting to come in now for her little shop. And so she was like dealing with this connection issue between Printify and Etsy, and then a customer not saying that they got it and blah, 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 and all of this. And I'm like, is it worth it? Is it worth the money you're making on that merch from the time that you're spending doing these other things? Now, could you have someone else do it? Sure. But there's still issues that come along with it, right? You got to ask yourself these questions. The cool thing about that is like for us, like that's not our main revenue source. It's, one of them, but it's also like, well, we're going to let it run for a little while. And if it starts to get out of control, we can just dial it back and we'll just, close the store down for a week or whatever and get caught up. You can do that, but it's still, you got to ask yourself, like people are like, oh, print on demand. You don't have to do anything. No, that's wrong. You do have to do stuff. Number one, you got to create designs. You got to do listings. You got to do optimization. You have to handle customer service when people, want something different or they didn't get it in time, whatever, all of those things that all comes with it, but yet, yeah, I get money. I get to make money online. Okay. There's still these things that have to go into it. So that's another example. The other one, let's look at brand creators. Okay. Brand creators. I have a podcast, right? I do my coffee talks. I do all this stuff. And right now I have Brand Creators Academy. That's like our main thing, right? And that is, I wouldn't call that passive. Yeah, I have people that are paying membership fees to be part of that. And if you are one of them, thank you very much. I appreciate you. And, I love working with that group. But it takes work, right? We're going to be doing a live call here, in a week. I do 2 of them a month, and I do bonus calls, and I'm in there answering questions, right? And I'm creating new training, right? And I'm doing that to help people on a regular basis. So is it passive? Not really. You still got to do stuff. Okay. Our niche properties class that we did, we had to build it. We had to create it, getting it exposed to new people. It takes work, not passive. Okay. So that's another example. And then niche properties, right? We've got a bunch of them going right now, right? You got to have either people on your team that can do it, or you've got to do it yourself. You've got to come up with your keyword, plan for the month. Then you got to, dispatch it to your writers. Then you got to get it in and make sure that it's optimized. And then you got to publish it. And then you got to deal with, well, my plugins are outdated. I got to go update, or something went haywire on the website. So I got to go and figure that out. Or I've got to submit a ticket to my hosting company and see, why my site is slow, or all of that stuff, right? It's there, right? I'm not saying it's not great because you have good passive income coming in, but it still requires work. You got to do stuff. Okay. So the idea of passive, right? Passive income, you really got to ask yourself, Is it really passive? Number one. And number two, are you willing to do the things to generate the passive income? That's what it comes down to. Okay. So I wanted to just come on here and just, again, talk about this, because a lot of people don't talk about this. They just make it seem as though it's perfect. Everything is great. You do this thing and everything's going to be great. And passive income and the money's just going to roll in as you sleep and you wake up and you get to do whatever you want. It's not true. Okay. Yes, money's coming in, and yes, traffic can be coming in. You still got to maintain stuff. That's why inside of our niche properties class, we have this one, module or a pillar that talks about maintenance and maintaining. Now, can you set up systems in place to help you out with all this stuff? Of course you can, but there's still work that's going to be required to do this stuff. All right. So I just wanted to come on here for this Friday to, number one, stick to my schedule of doing our Friday jam session. So if you're interested in joining us on one of our live ones, head on over to takeactioncrew.com. You can jump on that list, and that's where I'll be able to let you know of anything that we're doing upcoming. And you'll also get all the details about our coffee talks in the morning. All right. And again, if you're thinking to yourself, like, I don't know if this business model is for me, just go through the business model. Right? That's what I'm doing. I'm doing it with short-term rentals right now. I go through, like, what does it look like after I get done with the research, right? The research is fun. People love doing research. I love researching properties, whether it's niche properties or regular real estate properties. I love doing the research. It's exciting. But then pretend it's all done and it's set up, and now you got to do the work. What does that look like? And are you willing to deal with that work? And sometimes the headaches that come along with it. And that's the real question you got to ask yourself. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys, just to get you thinking about that. And you know what? For me, I do want to deal with the headaches for short-term rentals. I think there's a great reward there. I do want to deal with the headaches for niche properties. I think there's a huge upside there for building them, then selling them, or just holding them, and all of those things. And yes, I think it's worth it for me to put in the time and effort to do the podcast and to do the coffee talks and to be able to build our brand creators community, because I genuinely enjoy that. Right. And to me, it takes time and it's work, but I enjoy it. And I really think that's the other thing you got to ask yourself. What do you enjoy? Do you enjoy that process? Do you enjoy, creating these properties? Then great, then do it. Okay. And I'll say this as well. If you want help with that, I'll put a little shameless plug in here on this Friday jam session. Then I would definitely encourage you to check out our niche properties training. Okay. Inside of our niche properties training, we take you through everything, and we're going to show you, these things that can happen, but also how to make it so it's more streamlined, so you don't have to, encounter these headaches or at least these issues, and you can hopefully prepare for them, or at least be prepared for when they do arise. All right. And again, if you do want to check that out, head on over to buildnicheproperties.com. Again, that's buildnicheproperties.com. And we'll see you inside the class. All right. So guys, that is going to wrap up this Friday jam session. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. Take care, take action, have an awesome, amazing day, weekend, whenever you're listening to this. And I'll see you right back here on the next episode. Take care, guys.